everybody. Welcome. I'm Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records, and today on Dat Fury Radio, Mr. Furious Records' 20th birthday celebration, part 4, with guest Drew Rudwish. How's it going, Drew?
Oh, pretty good, all considered. How are you?
I'm all right. It's a fine Sunday afternoon to kick back and listen to some music, which is the plan. We are covering approximately 2011 through 2016 of Mr. Furious Records, and that is kind of a crucial, that's a real productive time and a real pivot time, and it's the time where you and I started putting out lots of music that we worked on together or just influenced each other on. And before I start the music, let's talk quickly about the origins of Mars Lights. What do you remember about that? And then I'll tell you what I remember.
Yeah, I think my old band had broken up and I was looking for something else to do. And I think Corey Kibler told me that you were looking for a guitar player, and we started talking over email, and you sent me some demos, and then I went over to Matt's house and we just played a bit, and that was roughly how it started. That was probably 2008.
Yeah, so, and you saying that, I think I remember hauling your Marshall half stack down to Matt's basement.
Yeah, I remember I brought that.
So I had joined Five Star Crush in 2005 with Matt on drums, and Five Star Crush was super active from 2005 to 2007-ish when Joel moved away. And I knew I wanted to keep playing with Matt because Matt's the best drummer I've ever played with. And I had written a few riffs. I was kind of thinking in terms of like White Stripes. I was thinking kind of blues punk. But I wanted a lead instrument of some kind. So I was thinking trio, kind of like, and I would do the bass thing, which I ended up doing in Mars Lights with like the special pickup and like kind of synthesizing the bass from the low strings of my guitar. And yeah, it was Corey who connected us, and I was probably telling him what I was trying to do, and he was like, hey, do you remember Drew from Rent Money Big? He lives in Kansas City now, and I'm in touch with him and can put you guys in touch. And so yeah, that would probably have been 2008, and it wasn't until 2011 that we got material out, but on the first Mars Lights EP was a song called Cold Burn that sounds like this.
I still have that preset saved on my DD20 that I'm using for that sound.
Is that kind of a reverse delay?
Yeah, it's just a 100% wet reverse delay that I was using tap tempo on.
How long has it been since you heard this stuff?
A number of years. I don't know, maybe the last time we played the song.
That would be a number of years for sure. Did we do these drums in my carriage house?
Yeah, this would have been upstairs in your carriage house. I remember that setup.
Same setup that Matt used to play drums for me for MS Ride, There Is Something and Not Nothing.
Yeah. I don't think we used a lot of mics. I think it was a pretty basic setup.
Sounds good though. The whole thing sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, the performance is always the biggest part of it, and part was exceptionally good. So
it was your idea, I remember, to use the Jimmy Page pre-delay swell trick on all the vocals.
Oh, yeah. So we reamped your vocals with my tape echo, and then reversed it. Did the Robert Plant effect.
Wait, I think so. You reverse the dry, run it through an echo, and then reverse the wet again, right? So it kind of pre-echoes and ramps.
That's right.
Ramps in.
I forgot about that. You have to double reverse it. Did Scott play the sax?
Yeah, Scott on the saxophone, Squiggles.
Forgot about the sax.
This was always a fun challenge live. We kind of improvised how long these these irregular break sections were.
Yeah.
And we kind of signal back and forth and eye contact and.
Yeah.
The fun performance element. Do you remember who came up with this riff? I don't.
I mean, I think we just iterated on the song in practice, and I just kind of, you guys gave me the freedom to just kind of do whatever. And after we practiced it 100 times between 2008 and 2011 or whenever we finally released this thing, I kind of had some patterns that I could play.
And this was one, so this is one where we knew what the vocals were going to be when we recorded the instrumental, but across the 3 sides EPs, not all of them were like that. Sometimes we just recorded an instrumental with the intention of figuring out the vocals later.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think we started recording like around 2009.
Probably.
I remember like summer of 09 in particular, summer of 09. I was going over there to do guitars and vocals. And then it just took us a while to mix it and then kind of decide how we were going to release it.
Right, because we recorded a lot of material for a first batch. 13 songs, I think, across the 3 EPs.
Yeah, there was a lot there. track is this?
So this is The Sleepover, song called In Circles from the Believe the Honesty Bro EP. And this is, so The Sleepover went through multiple
Corey's
lineup
band.
changes. Yeah, Corey's band, Corey and Jamie, were the consistent. But there was kind of a phase one with Brock on drums and a couple other people. And then that kind of disbanded, and Corey brought Scott and I in for kind of the second iteration of the band. I'd subbed on drums for a couple shows for them, and but this was, Corey really wanted to have like the big kind of studio recording experience. I think this is the only time he's done it, maybe. So we did this at ARC in Omaha with AJ Mogus.
Oh, wow.
And then AJ mixed it at his house.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we spent a few days with AJ and had a lot of fun putting this one together.
What was that like? I've never recorded in a real studio.
AJ was great, very low-key, up for anything. I mean, it's fun to have all the tools around, like, I forget what song, but we spent a lot of time miking up what goes with a Hammond? A Leslie. We spent a lot of time, like, doing real mics on a real Leslie for Scott for one part.
Mm-hmm.
This solo, you know, was like a whole kind of amp in a hallway and mics in separate rooms to get that super spacey, that's like a natural reverb kind of sound.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And so yeah, we really did it. I mean, it is psychologically for me, it's different than recording at home or playing a live show or recording a live show, because and maybe, you know, if you have unlimited budget, unlimited time, maybe you feel differently, but like I'm constantly feeling the ticking of the clock. And
yeah, I think
that's a lot of pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, that would cause problems for my performances. I mean, it would be nice to have all the technical problems just solved by an experienced engineer, but I just don't know if I have it in me to get the performances down in that environment. I'm not a professional.
And that's the thing. And that links back to what you said earlier about performances being king and queen, you know. It is tough to perform under that microscope, and
yeah,
I feel like it's a learned skill. And for a local band who's having kind of a one-off experience, you haven't learned that yet, you know? So it can be tough to get the results you imagine when you've only got 3 days, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be I don't know, maybe sometime I should do it just for the experience. Maybe I'd get better as a home recorder if I saw how it was done in a actual studio, and you know, just had that kind of learning experience.
It's a great learning experience. It's an expensive learning experience.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think about the gear that I could upgrade around here for the amount of money that I'd be spending, and just like the time away from home. Like, yeah. It's pretty, if you're gonna make the most of it, you're basically just like committing to the equivalent of a vacation away from your work and your family. And yeah, I probably couldn't pull that off.
That's absolutely what it is. And
yeah,
while the learning experience is real and valid, I think you're right that the bang for buck is probably in gear and babysitters or paying Charlie to watch TV or, however that works.
Yeah, I enjoy recording at home. I remember everything about recording this song. And,
I was gonna say, speak of recording at home.
Yeah, I did this in my basement in Oak Park. It sounds like it, but I couldn't have gone into a studio and multi-tracked this by myself with any kind of efficiency at all, because I was just learning how to play drums. And
I was gonna say, you basically taught yourself to play drums as you were making this record.
Right, yeah, and I had never really sung lead vocals on a whole record before this, so I was just kind of figuring out how to do that. I had done some stuff with Mars Lights, but I never really felt like a lead vocalist in that band. I was just always kind of a supplemental instrument, like my vocals. I was a guitar player in that band in my head.
I always thought of it more as a 50-50, two lead singers or no lead singers.
Yeah, right. But I guess I don't know. I didn't see vocals as like having I don't know, the usual kind of front and center role in that band. This one's different. This one's more like, I don't know. I just had the songs that I thought were just too dumb for Mars Lights, and had more of like they're almost driven by like these vocal hooks and melodies that I just had kind of been sitting on, and so I guess that's why I felt differently about Dark Satellites.
I'm gonna pause there for a second because I want to stick on Dark Satellites, because as I remember, I mean, I knew you were working on this record kind of, but then all of a sudden it was there and basically done, and you were asking me to master it. Like, there wasn't a lot of sharing progress, and like it was kind of surprising when it was done.
I don't know. This was before I had any kids, and I had more time to devote to it, so I could make a little bit of progress every day. And at the time, my wife was working a lot of overtime. She was like, we'd be at work all day, and we'd have dinner, and she'd go back into the office for a couple hours, and so I'd just go in the basement and work on this record. So I was just able to chip away at it a lot faster. These days I'm either doing stuff at the expense of my own sleep pattern, or I'm just kind of doing it on Saturday and Sunday afternoons. Yeah, that was a different time.
Yeah.
I remember for that record, I took some time off from work. I remember there was a week in like the spring of 2011 where I just said, I'm working half days this week, and in the afternoon I'm going to go home and I'm going to record a bunch. And that was one of the major pushes that or maybe it was 2012. I think it was maybe March of 2012. And then I made a pretty major push to get this done. Yeah, I remember doing guitar tracks for that. I'd have to do this stuff when I was the only one at home, because it was pretty loud when I was doing it. So I kind of I had to be really careful about when I was doing it.
The empty house is key.
Yeah.
So here's some more Sleepover. This is my favorite recordings of that second version of the Sleepover that I talked about. This is live at the Zoo Bar. With the four of us, Corey, Jamie, Scott, and I.
How'd you do the recording? Is it a board capture, or did somebody have a mic?
Well, the Zoo, for like $100, they could capture the multi-track, like everything going into the board.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was super nice. So we just bought that, and they handed over,
Wow. Do they still do that?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I remember we played there in 2018. I don't remember hearing about that.
This has some great stage banter from Corey too. If you listen to the whole set.
Oh yeah, he's a comedian. I remember we played with demos at the Bourbon Theater. Mm-hmm. And he was like scatting or something. I forget what he was doing. He's a funny guy. Yeah. It's true, I get what I asked for.
I'm pretty sure this is the recording where in between songs he just busts into Sister Christian for no reason.
Yeah, that checks out. I think the last time I played in Lincoln was 2018.
You should take the one-man band up.
Yeah. I mean, that was the idea, that I would have the freedom to, kind of just go up and play whenever, but I just haven't been doing it.
It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I want to finish more music. And I'm slowly working on that, but going up and playing shows and having to promote all that, I don't know. The self-promotion part of it is just like the part that I am the worst at and that I enjoy the least. So I almost feel bad about like booking a show knowing that I'm not gonna really have anybody come watch me, nor am I gonna put in the effort to change that.
Maybe it's time for us to get back to our house show roots.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, where are we gonna do that? I don't really know anybody with a house like that anymore. Yeah. So
my dad would let us.
Yeah,
he'd be down for a noise show. He'd play a set.
I like. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, we should do that. I mean, I could have a show out in the country, but like, who's gonna drive out here?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna hurt somebody. All right, this next song.
Yeah, like I said, it's just.
And it is also on our record. It's gonna be.
Here, is this the stage banter part?
A lot of the songs have stage banter at the end. Oh, what a lovely guy.
He's a real one.
So here's I'm tremendously honored to have a Strawberry Burns record on the label. Now
I remember them.
I was barely involved. This is very much Mr. Furious in the mode of being a home for music, and in this case, purely the digital home for Pitch Purple, this record.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, through Greg and Brandon and the solo music they put out on the label, we got to do the digital release for this.
Yeah, I remember seeing them at Knickerbocker's a million years ago. Is this Brandon song?
Yeah, it's Brandon on vocals for sure, yeah.
Did they have two guys writing songs?
At
Greg?
least.
It was Greg and
Brandon for sure, and maybe others. I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, a side note, as of the time of this recording, this song is the halfway point of the catalog. Just kind of a numerical oddity. This is catalog number 41, and by the time you're hearing this, we'll be up to 82.
Pretty good.
Maybe this is my moment for some shameless self-promotion. So releases 80, 81, and 82 are part of what I'm calling the Darker Dimensions crossover event. 3 albums, not so much related musically or temporally, but through artwork and kind of influence on each other a little bit. And as part of that, we have merch. I am wearing the official Darker Dimensions crossover t-shirt. Link in description. This is a high quality Bella Plus Canvas tri-blend t-shirt. This is not your G brand 100% cotton cardboard feeling shirt. This is a very nice shirt. Cool design that's intended to look cool and interesting on its own without, reference to the albums too much or anything like that. Tons of colors. There's a women's cut with a V-neck. And yeah, check it out. You can get it shipped, and I kept the price quite affordable. This is print on demand. You can get it shipped to your front door for well under $30 per shirt. And the women's shirt is actually $1 cheaper, so avoiding the pink tax on Mr. Furious Records. There's my promo.
Nice. Well done. What's Darker Dimensions?
So, well, I'm going to cover all this in a separate podcast for the crossover, but the idea was to take just some very loose inspiration from the comic book Crisis on Infinite Earths famous crossover. So it's not related in any tight kind of way, but just that general concept of like separate streams coming together and making a bigger thing.
Fascinating. What are the releases going to be?
One is by the time people hear this, they'll all be out at mrfuriousrecords.bandcamp.com or wherever you like to stream your music. This is another Brandon song, Panda Face, his solo project, one of his solo projects. Song's called Moongazer.
Get my power from the moon. I can't shoot no.
Panda Face is kind of an experimental project overall, but there's some real gems and bangers on each of the albums.
Sounds like he's using a drum machine.
Yeah, Panda Face is kind of a bedroom electro indie type of project, mostly programmed drums.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate drum machines into what I'm doing with Dark Satellites. It's always been like, you know, pretty traditional acoustic drums and electric guitars, and that was sort of what it was intended to be. But I don't know, over the years I've just been using more synthesizers, and during the pandemic I learned how to program drum machines, and so naturally I've been ending up with more material where I feel like the drum machine is more of a part of the song. And then if I'm gonna be ever actually performing any of this stuff with my setup, my one-man setup, then the drum machine is going to be part of it. But like, yeah, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I don't want it to necessarily scan like less of a live band. But I still want to use those textures and have that freedom of, like, you know, like I said, being able to play by myself.
Plus, what was that? I'm blanking on the guy's name, but the stuff that you mixed 2 records for a guy in Omaha with a drum machine and guitars.
Ethan Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way he used his drum machine. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm almost certainly overthinking all of this the way I usually do. There are a lot of ways to use a drum machine in a rock context, like, you know, like Big Black, or, you know, like what Ethan did. I don't know. I have a hard time, like, balancing all my interests and influences, I guess. Like, I keep thinking about, like, you know, the way that somebody like Broadcast would incorporate synthesizers and just sort of like ambient sounds, and the way I've been thinking more and more about, like, those, you know, some of those old Nine Inch Nails records that I liked when I was a kid, and like that mode of music making never really felt accessible to me, because I just thought of myself as a guitar player until 5 years ago. And I don't know, how you take those different tools and kind of mold them into what you want to do is it's a process. It's really a process. I don't really want people to hear a beat and think, oh yeah, that's a drum machine. That's 808 and you know, Rhythm King and Drumulator samples. I want to roll my own sounds as much as possible, and that means, like, layering samples, layering triggered sounds with live sounds. It's such a long process, and like like I said, I was thinking about those old Nine Inch Nails records, and I was kind of reading up on how they would spend just hours and hours with just like Trent and his producer in the studio, just making noise and like just capturing it and then kind of editing down and sampling what he did. And I've been trying to do more of that lately, like just kind of making sound in the moment and kind of building up a library of my own material to kind of resample and build around. But that's obviously pretty time consuming. So, right,
it's kind of ironic how programming drums can end up taking longer and being a lot harder than playing them.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's in some ways it'll help you make a demo, but like it almost makes finding the end of the process a lot harder, just because the
aesthetics are a lot more open-ended. There's a drum machine can sound good in a much wider spread in the sound space, where acoustic drums, there's different eras and different styles, but a good acoustic drum sound is a fairly conventional thing to aim for, and there's kind of established, and obviously you can deviate, but there's more of a, this is kind of where you're headed with all that.
Yeah.
I paused. I'm gonna get the music going again. I paused because this next one is kind of a big one in the lore. It's Coast and Plains, the song off my album Ventura. This is actually a co-write with Corey. He wrote the melody and lyrics to this one. But Ventura was an album I worked on for a lot of years and told people was coming for a lot of years. And it was an EP, and it grew into an album and spanned several different recording locations. But it was a big step up sonically as far as my solo work goes.
Uh-huh.
And in some ways kind of defines... Everything was kind of building to this in a way, and everything after has been kind of a reaction to it.
Yeah, I remember you working on this one.
Playing guitar leads and fills for the first time.
You left the uptight coast behind.
Pretty basic arpeggio kind of stuff. I'm not shredding by any means, but starting to dip a toe in that end of the pool.
Yeah, I approached that with a lot less caution. I wouldn't say that I was ever shredding by any means, but I had a real dumb guy confidence about all that.
So here's a really at this point we can look back, I think, and see that, or I can see, I'm very consciously the yin to your yang when it comes to guitar leads, because of your influence and from Rent Money Big to Mars Lights to Dark Satellites. When it came time for me to try and play some leads, I knew I was not going to put in the time to practice my scales and do my exercises the way you had. I mean, you were 20 years ahead of me on all that. I was like, I'm never going to catch up to any of that. And that actually became very inspiring, because it's just like, well, I'm going to have to find a different path, and I'm going to have to use space and use different effects and find my own way, because I just knew I'd never reach where you had gotten to in the direction that you chose to go.
Well, I mean, I don't think that my technical playing accomplishments were ever really that remarkable. It's just, like I said, I just had this dumb guy confidence that kind of like covered for that to some degree. It would be fun to do Mars Lights again now that I actually know what modes are. Now that I know, like how a scale extends all the way up the fretboard and how to deviate from it, and that I actually have some technical knowledge and ability, that would actually be a fun thing to revisit. I know it's never really been done. It's just like we live in different corners of the metro area and have families and jobs and all kinds of stuff to do. So
yeah, it's Mars Lights. I mean, Mars Lights isn't over. I've told you before, like I desperately want to make another record besides the three.
I desperately want to finish the ones that we never finished.
Yeah, that too.
I don't know. I never know what to say about that. Like I keep revisiting that stuff and trying to make progress, and I feel like I just can't. I haven't been able to get the vocals down. I haven't been able to finish. I'd say I'm like 85% there on some of the stuff, but like, and it's also such a daunting task because just like the sheer amount of material that we left unfinished is like at the rate that I'm able to work on things. It's like I either commit to finishing that and maybe I'll get that done in a couple years, or I keep making new music and like just improving as a musician and recording engineer and performer. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I almost feel like I just didn't have the tools to do what I wanted to do with that music, because Mars Lights in my head is like not a garage band. It's more like a prog band,
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I agree. It's not over. It's just I never felt like I could do what I wanted to do in that context, and I almost feel like now I could. So maybe I really do need to open up those sessions and get back to trying to finish it. But like the thing that I'm really fascinated by is what it would sound like if we just got together and played again.
I think both would be really good, but
yeah,
I'm not trying to put any pressure on the old stuff. I get how it's all like quicksand, and one of the I don't finish my own solo material either, like, so don't take it personally. It's not that I'm not interested in finishing Mars Light stuff. I have like 3 or 4 Dark Satellites records that have been sitting for, like, I have Dark Satellite songs that have been sitting for almost a decade at this point that I had never finished recording. So this is a problem that is just omnipresent in my studio endeavors. I'm gonna pause the music. We talked, and it's fine. We talked over a killer cover of Robot Creep Closer's Clock Blocking by Derek Jennings, aka D Rockets, of the incredible band The Return. But back to Mars Lights quick. For anyone who doesn't know, I mean, very quickly, during a brief period where Matt was focused on other things, Drew and I recorded 8 songs as a duo. And before we could finish them and put them out, Matt came back and we recorded a double LP. And then families happened and other things happened, and that didn't get finished either. So there's incredible Mars Lights material. Like you said, 85% finished. That's just in the vault. But I'm coming around to saying, like, part of your creativity has always been to blow out wide and kind of go maximal and then condense back down and edit down. And I watched this happen with your pedal board multiple times, where it would grow and grow and grow and grow, and then you'd shrink back to like a fuzz and the tape echo. Mm-hmm. And, you know, one of the things, and this is partially caused by the start of the pandemic as well, like, you've been in the longest like growth, expansion, maximal type of phase that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I love your work so much, and this was true from Rent Money Big, when we weren't, you know, friends and barely knew each other, to the things we've done together, to Night Mode, which we're coming on to Dark Satellites. I just have to trust your creativity and your own sense of what you need to be working on any given day or week. There's just, that's always proven to be the right choice in the long run. I feel like it's just to trust your intuition and let you do what you feel like doing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is more of an offline conversation, but like, you know, we kind of need to think about when is the right time for all of us to just make that a priority. Like, to what end do we want to even put it out there? Who are we finishing it for? Are we finishing it for ourselves? Is that,
I think mostly ourselves.
like,
yeah.
how meaningful is that? Like, and then how do we want to go about that? I don't know.
I know Daniel and the whole Hypermortal crew would be excited to hear finished Mars Light stuff.
Yeah, I suppose, you know, I suppose that's right. Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to share it with the circle of people who even remember that band.
So this song, Ghost You Out, is we did finish one thing with Matt. So between the duo LP and the double LP with Matt, we did do 3 songs with Matt, recorded it in the basement at Overland Park, mixed by Dwayne at Weights and Measure.
Yeah.
We tried to put our best accessibility foot forward, which resulted in great material, but went nowhere in terms of press or booking. And that is kind of what, in my memory, inspired the turn toward just embracing the prog for the double LP.
Yeah. I mean, that was fun recording all that double LP stuff, and I thought we had a pretty good studio sound, and we did a good job performing them. Maybe I'm talking myself into getting back into doing the vocals that I need to do. How far along are you on your vocals for that? Are you done with your...
Mine were done, but now it's been so long, I haven't heard them, so I almost wonder if I need to redo them.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I kind of wonder if you and I should just like make, you know how we used to practice once a week at my old house? Like, I almost wonder if you and I should just like make regular band practice where it's just we're finishing all the
Mars Light Studio Night?
Yeah, Mars Light Studio Night. Maybe that might be the only way that I can just make myself do it. And
that's a pretty good idea.
And actually, you know, I almost wonder if part of the block is like, I don't know, I don't feel like I really, it's not a solo thing for me, and it never has been. So I kind of think like I just feel a lot more confident in wanting to commit to whatever I'm doing if I just had you there to, like, I don't know, just be part of it.
I think you're onto something, and this is a new thought for me. But in your pause 20 seconds ago, as you were materializing that thought, I was just realizing, like, oh, Mars Lights was never like a solo endeavor and fly your parts in, right? Like, it was always at least you and me, if not the three of us in the room.
Yeah.
So I think you're really onto something there.
Yeah, I think we should just, like, and I could come over to your place too. Like, I'm gonna have to do some work in, like, pulling those old sessions off of a hard drive and into, like, because those were all done in Pro Tools, and I'm working in Reaper now. So
right, I'm
gonna have to do some work just in pulling that stuff in. And honestly, that's like at least 50% of the hurdle. Like,
totally.
It's just such a pain in the ass to do that kind of stuff at that kind of scale. Like, we had like 2 hours of material.
And yeah, we should talk offline about this, because before you do anything, I'm pretty sure I have, like, that's already done for the duo LP stuff, and I have that here. So yeah. I don't want you to duplicate any work.
Yeah, I think, this is probably not great podcast material. I'm sorry, but, like, I think you and I should probably just get on a schedule to finish this stuff together, because it's probably the only way it's ever gonna get done.
I think it's good. We should return to the label stuff we're hearing, but I also think this is a fun, or at least interesting, hopefully, like, peek behind the curtain at, like, how stuff gets made, and both the technical piece and the practical piece with time and families and locations and everything.
There are definitely some perverts out there listening to this and thinking that this is interesting. So
so yeah, let me talk about this. So this is a song called To the Infinite Burrows, from an album called Valiance. This is basically 10 songs about my sister, her life, and her cancer and her death. She died the year before this album came out. And so a lot of it is really personal and specific to her. I did some interesting production choices here. So this is, it's all done on my classical guitar. I believe it was all one take, no edits. And then the vocals, I didn't play and sing at the same time. The finger picking was too intricate for that. But I recorded the vocals. I had read about this technique. I laid flat on my back and, like, placed the mic about a foot above my face. And I think there may be one or two edits on the record, but the vast majority, I believe, is complete takes. A complete guitar take matched with a complete vocal take from later, but on their own, complete takes without edits.
How'd you like recording that way? Would you do that again?
I would, for this type of, like, super intimate. I mean, it changed something. I think my voice has a breathier quality that's appropriate for this material. I wouldn't do it for Mars Lights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I should try that sometime.
My one regret, I did do it in kind of a square bedroom, so there is some, like, comb filtery. You can hear that square room a little bit.
Yeah.
If I could do it again, I'd do it down here in the laundry room. But I like the songs, and I like a lot of the takes, and
I know that I've never met you, but I miss you just the same.
Really excellent Corey project here, solo Corey, though he kind of gave me a feature. He recorded guitars and vocals. I wish he was here to say, probably with Matt Weiscarver, maybe on his own. But he sent me finished acoustic guitar and vocal, that's all it was. And I overdubbed the drums and bass and lead guitar and backing vocals and keys and all of that. Which is, I'm not great at recording drums to a finished piece, but he had pretty good time for this, and I think it came out pretty well. It was really fun to write the parts. I really love the production on this one. This is really where my love of bass playing blossomed. I played some bass before this, but I just really dug into writing what I hoped were great bass parts for this one.
Was this what year was this?
It came out in 2016.
Okay. Yeah, so this would have been around the time that you did that bass track for Just Dropped Out.
Yeah.
Which is another really active kind of bass line. Yeah, bass playing is often underestimated skill. It plays a much bigger melodic role than I think most people give it credit for.
It's been a long road, but I wouldn't say I'm primarily a bassist anymore, but I almost wish I was, or wish I could say that. I love playing bass so much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My dream job might be to be on the internet and have strangers send me songs to record bass and then send back. And if I could do that once a day and get $100, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, you'd be good at that. That sounds familiar.
It should. Strange song from the second Dark Satellites album, Be Still. Incredible melody from someone who doesn't think of themselves as a singer, or didn't for a long time.
Thanks. I mean, I don't know. I have I don't know how many people actually like the sound of their own voice. I have such a hard time listening to stuff that I did a long time ago and just not thinking the whole time, man, I wish I could do this again because I could do so many things better. But this is one of the songs off that record that I'm mostly happy with. There's a lot of stuff on that record that I don't know, not to say that I regret it, but just that I recognize that I'm past it. I can I don't know. This is all ultimately a pointless exercise. I'm just talking more about my own nagging insecurities. But when we were listening to that first Dark Satellite song that came on a while ago, I was just thinking about how many mixing mistakes I made when I was just trying to make all those guitar tracks blend together, and it's a crazy process being a home recorder and doing all your own stuff, because
there are just infinite opportunities for second guessing, but like
right, yeah, every one you do is going to sound better, you know, like, so there's like this obvious progression. It's hard to get over this urge to like just think, oh man, I should have done so many different things differently, and it just didn't occur to me that I could, you know.
Right, but can you enjoy it, at least in part?
Yeah, absolutely. I always wonder, like, how do professionals feel about stuff that they did earlier in their career versus what they're doing now, or like how much does professional mixer or recording engineer nitpick their own sounds when they hear, like, imagine being at the level where you're hearing your own stuff on the radio, and you're just like, oh man, I really should have made some different choices on that snare drum or whatever. Like, I don't know.
One of the parts of this whole exercise for me has been, and this isn't universal by any means, but I'm finding a lot of grace for my earlier stuff, even while recognizing I do it differently now, or I could do it better or whatever, but like, there's a lot that was good about it. And, you know, Be Still to me is just like a stone classic. I love this record from start to finish. I wouldn't change a thing about it. To me, it sounds amazing. And the first Dark Satellites record, it's not the technical peak of anything, but it has a vibe. It has a ton of energy. It has a ton of attitude. Hearing it, I feel like I'm sitting in the room with you, and that's a good feeling, you know. So I love the first one as well. And even, you know, even with the technical things that you could have done differently now, I wouldn't change a thing about that one either.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. That helps hearing. Sometimes I think, like, what could I do if I was to just remix that first record and just put it out for free, just for people to, you know, hear it, not necessarily as, like, I don't know, mostly just as an expression of, like, how much I enjoyed writing and performing those songs, and like seeing if I can I don't know, seeing how well they hold up.
Yeah, I think that could be fun if you could do it fairly quickly. I'd hate for it to become another Quicksand thing, but if you run it out to one of the outboard mixers and slam it through, and, you know, maybe do a little EQ feathering on the guitars.
Yeah. It would be fun to revisit it, you know? Like, I almost just want to revisit it just because I think it would be an enjoyable thing, not because I'm, like, ashamed of the job that I did. It's just like, yeah. I actually do have a strong belief in what I did with that record.
Yeah,
and
songs are good. It's all good, but yeah, the songs are good, and I think they would hold up to a higher fidelity mix if that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I guess I feel like a lot of the issues that I have are just clear technical mistakes that I made because I just didn't know any better at the time, and I feel like I could just make like a massive leap in fidelity if I just spent a month just kind of working through the various issues. Is this one of your first Night Mode solo efforts?
Yeah, let me ask you a question quick first, and then we need to correct the record and explain all this, but
okay.
Do you have a Pro Tools system that will boot?
Yeah, I still have my old computer. Yeah, so I'd have to take all that stuff and like render it, you know, like, yeah, I'd have to bounce tracks kind of two at a time, mono tracks, like hard panned, and split them in Reaper.
It would almost, this is me talking. I'm not trying to inject too much into your process, but it would almost be interesting to boot those 2012 Are Here mixes and do kind of purely subtractive stuff, just like within Pro Tools, just like removing processing, maybe changing EQ a little bit. Like maybe that's enough in some ways.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Yeah.
But so Be Still, the second Dark Satellites record, doesn't carry a Mr. Furious catalog number. It's not on Mr. Furious. I put it on Mr. Signal, I assume with your permission at the time, because it's such an important part of the story. Like we talked about.
It not being a Mr. Furious release wasn't like a conscious thing. It was just, I don't know how to promote a record, and and I also did a vinyl pressing, and I always fully intended to just do that out of my own pocket, and so that's just kind of how it came out. So
it's all good. I'm just explaining like the catalog numbers.
Yeah.
And then kind of a similar thing happened with the first Night Mode record. So say something quick about
what was the
happened.
First Night Mode record?
Well, Aaron Osborne, our friend, stored a bunch of vintage. I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Gentleman Scientist, this is your second one.
Second one, yeah.
So Aaron stored a bunch of vintage synths and drum machines in your basement while he got his floors redone. This is like 2015. And what happened then?
I also bought a Yamaha 4-track cassette recorder from somebody off Craigslist for like $50. So I took all those synths and I plugged them in and threw a cassette in there and just started learning how to use those synths with the tape running. And I just ended up with a bunch of sounds that I thought were kind of fun. So I imported them into my computer and started just an editing process where I was kind of making ambient electronic experimental music, and I don't know, that just became Night Mode. The project name came from a phrase that we had been repeating a lot at my day job. I'm an engineer. We had a thing that had a night mode and a day mode. So, that became Night Mode because I was just doing it late at night with my headphones on while my family was sleeping upstairs. And so that's why it was Night Mode.
Right. And so that became Other, which was, for the podcast viewers, that was the tape you were holding up.
Yeah. Yeah, make this
and that, I found that so inspiring. I started making my own synthesizer, sampler-based experimental electronic music too. And when I had a record done, I asked you if I could just borrow the name and kind of make it a collective instead of having launched a whole separate electronic experimental project.
Proliferating solo electronic noise project, or whatever projects, is not the greatest outcome from a branding standpoint. So we decided to join forces, and especially since we've done a lot of stuff in collaboration anyway, it made sense.
Yeah, and we're listening to Adjacency from my first Night Mode record, second overall, Dirac Spike. But it did turn into a fun, different type of collective collaboration where there's solo albums, duo albums, trio albums with Damon Marr and live sets in all those combinations. My dad made a Night Mode record, which we'll get to. So it's become this really cool umbrella for experimental electronic music, and a huge part of the Mr. Furious story since 2016, 2015, when Other came out.
Yeah. And we've got quite a catalog of material. You know, we've put out a lot of stuff. I've got so much stuff that I still have to release. I mean,
honestly,
you've heard them. I have 2 LPs that are in the can. One of them is a double LP. So.
One's a double, yeah. I've got multiple Night Mode records in the can and in process as well. So it is it continues to be a fruitful. I'm gonna mix my metaphors. A fruitful well to dip into.
Mm-hmm. A lot of fruit in that well.
Well, we've been going a while. This is the show ending, Drew. Don't hang up. But
okay.
Listeners, you can grab all this stuff at MrFuriousRecords.bandcamp.com in the Mr. Signal compilation. The individual albums are spread out across Mr. Furious Records Bandcamp, Sleepover Bandcamp, Night Mode, and Dark Satellites Bandcamp. But if you have any trouble finding anything you're trying to track down, leave me a comment or ask your question in a review, and I will get to it, or you can contact me via the Mr. Furious Records Bandcamp page. You can get your shirts, link in description and show notes, celebrating the Darker Dimensions crossover event featuring records from all my projects, Drone Space 9, Night Mode, a solo Night Mode from me, and MS Ride. Drew, if people want to attend one of your shows or listen to your music, where should they go on the internet?
Well, for the music, just go to Bandcamp. You can find Dark Satellites and Night Mode on Bandcamp. I do have most of the Dark Satellite stuff streaming on the various platforms, but fuck streaming. Just fuck Spotify. Fuck all of them. I don't make shit off of that.
Well, they take it from you now if you don't get your 1,000 streams a year or whatever.
Yeah, fuck them all.
They just
Just go to Bandcamp. I've got a Dark Satellite.
If you don't know, listeners, Bandcamp is free to stream. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to pay. Yeah. You can stream stuff for free on Bandcamp with no ads.
Right.
So,
it's
that.
Great. It's wonderful. Bandcamp is it's the best thing that ever happened to.
It's the best thing, and if you like it, if you want to support, buy a cassette tape or whatever.
Yeah, I've got cassette tapes you can order. I've still got Dark Satellites, Be Still LPs. I put out 2 records since then, but Be Still was the only one I ever pressed. That was kind of a experiment in merch that it's so expensive to make a record.
Yeah, but that's a nice one to have on vinyl. The sides split out nicely, and the artwork is great.
It works well as a vinyl release.
Yeah.
So go to Bandcamp if you want to hear any of this stuff. I have a Blue Sky account for Dark Satellites where I mostly just retweet angry politics stuff. And
do you put the shows on there though?
No, because we haven't played a Dark Satellite show since 2019.
Oh, I meant your solo shows. Like if someone wanted to see you perform solo.
Follow me on Instagram. I have a Night Mode account, Night Mode 69420. I couldn't just do night mode. Somebody else got to it first, so I had to pick a number.
Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, there's if you want to, I don't know, whatever. None of this matters. None of this matters.
None of it matters. Listeners, thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week with more Dat Fury Radio.
All right. Thanks, Howie. Thanks for having me. Congrats on the 20 years. And the t-shirts. T-shirts are fun.